What's going on, everybody? I appreciate your patience. This has been a crazy few weeks to not do videos because there's been so much Epstein stuff going on, including Trump calling his supporters, I believe, weaklings and all sorts of nicknames if they believe in the Epstein hoax, aka the Epstein list that he literally campaigned said he was going to release when asked. And there's so much to talk about, so I'm going to get into it. I'm probably not going to talk about specifics right now as far as like different posts that he's made. Everybody's probably seen them, but I want to kind of talk about my overarching thoughts about all of them, what I think, and then what I think the solution is. So let's look at this situation real quick. I think he's called his supporters selfish. He said that Epstein case was a hoax. He called his supporters weaklings, and he's essentially trying to frame it as Democrats are pushing it now, and it's a Democrat hoax similar to Russia collusion. And if you're a true supporter like Cat Turd and anybody like that, that you should just stop talking about it because it's nothing but another Democrat hoax. Now, here's one angle that I've thought of. I think, first of all, when it comes to the Epstein files, I don't know if I'd call it an unforced error because I don't know really what Trump knows or what he's trying to hide for who. And I'm not going to speculate on that or say anything. I'll just stick to what I know. But in general, him trying to say that it's a Democrat hoax, it somehow got him outflanked by Democrats on this topic, which is really strange. To give you what I'm talking about, he said he was going to run on the Epstein files. This is when Democrats were in office. So at first, Democrats had nothing on this situation. Nobody thought they were the ones that were going to release them. Biden was in office for 4 years. They didn't talk about him. They didn't look into him. They never even mentioned him. It was strictly a thing coming from the Trump world. And I think one reporter or a couple of reporters asked Trump, are you going to release the Epstein files? In which he said yes. To be fair, if you watch the clip, he doesn't sound super confident in it. And it seems like the question just got jumped on him.
Would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah.
Would you,
I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
Do you believe Trump in that clip that he's going to declassify all of those files? But he's not going to say no when he's running on campaign. Point I'm getting to is Democrats didn't release it when they were in office. Democrats are never going to release it. They're just kind of acting right now because Trump gave them an in. It's like he had all the leverage on this topic by being the one that was going to reveal it, bringing in independents and people who care. And then somehow he got outflanked by Democrats. Like, it's so fascinating to me. So they didn't do it. But now, like Democrats always do, they're pretending like they actually care when they already had 4 years in office. And instead of trying to counter that with some sort of more, I don't know if I'd say intelligent way, but some more believable way, like Trump could say like, hey, it's going to take us a few months. Not that I'd believe that, but there's got to be something he could say besides it's a Democrat hoax. You're a weakling if you believe in it. Now he's letting Democrats ride out the issue and be like, no, we want it released. It's completely flipped to what it was a couple of years ago. Of course, I know that Democrats are lying. Of course, I know that Democrats had the chance to, but I think a lot of average people that don't pay attention to politics that much might actually now think like, oh, Trump is in on it and that it's the Democrats who are going to reveal it. And Trump has nobody to blame but himself on this because he had all the leverage. He had all the momentum. They never mentioned it. If Trump and Republicans never mentioned the Epstein list, probably it wouldn't get mentioned again. But because a reporter actually asked a real journalistic question, which is going to be a theme to this video, that journalists and influencers need to do their job and not just be sports fans. That's how we even got here in the first place. So it's been a massive train wreck for the Trump administration. I think Rasmussen polls, who's a fan of Trump, or at least seems like not anti-Trump in any way. I don't know if I'd call him a fan. They claim to do fair polling, but they even said he's down like 17 points or something. I have to go look, or I'll try to put it on the screen if I can. But Rasmussen said he's down like 17 points with independents, and I understand why. He completely got outflanked on this issue. And although he's lying and Democrats are lying on this issue, they're coming out looking better to the average person that has no idea what's going on in politics because he's gave them an in. On that note, I think the people, and I don't know how many it is, I can't really gauge, but the super fans of Trump that believe everything he says, they're believing this narrative that like, oh, the left wing is trying to do it. So you're a panicking or you're a left winger if you actually want them revealed, which is, I have to really try to explain this. And because it's everything with politics they do. Like when Trump rushed the vaccine, funded the vaccine, allowed for Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, he either gave money to the companies during Operation Warp Speed, and to the companies like I believe Pfizer didn't take Operation Warp Speed money, but then Trump bought hundreds of millions of doses with Pfizer of taxpayer money. And then Biden did the same exact thing. So there's so much to talk about, and I don't want to get into it. I probably have 100 videos on it. But when it comes to the vaccine and pharmaceutical and government corruption, it was bipartisan. Trump was in on it, but the Democrats took it further. So then the Trump narrative in the Trump world became, well, at least I didn't mandate it, as if everything else didn't matter. Like if you probably, most people didn't read the CARES Act because it was super long, but certain sections of the CARES Act that I did read, it really provided the blueprint for the lockdowns, for the tyranny. There's already emergency situations like the PrEP Act that allow the vaccine manufacturers to basically put it out with no liability because it was an emergency. Thomas Massie, by the way, is trying to repeal the PrEP Act, and he's our best congressman. And weirdly, Trump is trying to throw him out with AIPAC and the Republican Jewish Coalition, two groups that don't like Thomas Massie either. But anyway, there's always a left or right narrative to trick people that actually believe in politicians, where it's like Democrats are worse than Trump. Democrats did more with the lockdowns. They did more with the mandates. And I think they did more evil. But that doesn't mean that Trump is completely innocent and it's just awesome that he lied about the vaccine and that he did Operation Warp Speed. He did the same thing to get out of this vaccine situation. The reason that I bring that up is because when you allow somebody to just get away scot-free and nobody questioned him, he ran around Republican media pathologically lying for 2 years, saying it saved hundreds of millions of lives, like claims that even Bill Gates, Fauci, and like mainstream scientists haven't even really made. He was just doing that. And the pushback was so minimum. I saw this all coming. And in a weird way, I'm grateful for this moment because Trump hasn't been who he says he was. Everybody hopes that he's somebody else because Alvin Bragg's going after him and the situation in Butler. So you want to believe this hero narrative. But in general, it's like, it's been a long time since Trump's been that cool, and people need to face this now. And I'm still glad Trump won, because if Democrats got in office, all the Republicans and the conservatives and the independents, maybe not all of them, but a lot, would be like, let's just wait until Trump gets back into office, or let's get a Republican back into office because the Democrats are so bad. We need to face our side when we're in power, when we know that the other side's not operating, because then it's just going to keep going back and forth. So I'm not even mad with how things came out, but it's time right now to figure this stuff out. And the reason I brought up the vaccine stuff is because influencers and journalists basically let Trump off the hook and just made excuses and said, well, it's just the Democrats who mandated it, or maybe he did the warp speed to counter the Democrats. It's this stupid fake paradigm, fake banker puppet narrative is why they get away with everything and they keep tricking us. So Trump's trying to apply the same thing with Jeffrey Epstein. And this is basically an IQ test for his supporters. You know, the super fans will probably not pass, but hopefully the majority of fans pass. There's a lot of backlash definitely on social media. I think a lot of people are getting smart and educated. So this is our moment. This is our IQ test, to essentially say, you know, Trump thinks we're stupid. He's calling us boys and gals. He's calling us weaklings. He's calling us selfish, like all of these things, while he's standing by Howard Lutnick. By the way, he did a speech recently where he stood by Howard Lutnick. Let me read this from Max Blumenthal. Max Blumenthal said, standing beside Trump is Howard Lutnick, Jeffrey Epstein's longtime neighbor who bought his townhome from a trust controlled by Epstein and Lex Wessner. Brilliant optics. So Trump's doubling down on the Epstein stuff, standing next to Howard Lutnick, who bought his townhome right next to Jeffrey Epstein and also bought it from a trust controlled by Epstein and Lex Wexner. I'm not saying that he's guilty just because you live by somebody or even you buy a house from a trust. That doesn't mean you're guilty. And that's not what I'm saying. But you would think Trump wouldn't put somebody so literally close to Epstein in multiple ways right by him when he's saying, don't worry about the Epstein stuff. But this is the hubris that Donald Trump has. And I say this with all due respect to Trump supporters and MAGA, because I think it's important to hear this. He thinks you're stupid. He thinks you're an idiot. He walks all over you. When you boo Lindsey Graham at a rally, he says, oh, I need to fix these people. You know, I'll get through to them. Or, you know, I'll play the clip right here.
And again, Senator Lindsey Graham, who is really I'm going to have to work. I'm going to have to work on these people. I'm going to have to. All right.
He does all these stuff. And he just gets away with it all the time. I'm not asking you to hate him. I'm not asking you to be a psychopath. All I'm asking you is to peacefully, legally, and reasonably tell him, hey, I voted for you. I like you. I've been to rallies. I bought your merch, whatever it is. Like, show him love, but at the same time, be like, I'm not buying this crap. The reason he keeps selling it, he could get away with anything. He's been campaigning against my favorite congressman. And Thomas Massie is my favorite congressman because he's just super honest. He was one of the only, if not the only one, who early stood against the CARES Act and the lockdown and all of the scams that the government was trying to pull off. He's voted very consistently in the times that I've disagreed with his vote. Potentially, he's explained them on podcasts. Like, he's just very transparent. I think easily the Ron Paul of this generation, inspired by Ron Paul, and everybody knows like Ron Paul's a good guy. He might not be the strongest leader to be president, and you may not think he's like a natural male that can like really lead, but Congress is hundreds of people, and you're not going to tell me, oh, the problem in Congress is Ron Paul and Thomas Massie. No, they're great. There should be 50 of each of them, and then we'd actually get something done. So Trump is trying to oust Thomas Massie, the modern day Ron Paul, out of the party. And he's endorsing Lindsey Graham. Nobody cares. He lies about the vaccine. Nobody cares because they buy the left and right paradigm. All I'm asking, or at least hoping, is that people don't fall for this on Epstein, because it's just so stupid. Like, I get why people got tricked on the vaccine, but at the same time, I can't really fully relate because I was doing journalism the whole time. And, it's obvious, like, if someone tells me the sky is purple when it's blue and I'm staring at it, like, I'm not stupid. You know what I'm saying? I have a baseline of understanding. I try to be humble and thoughtful if someone comes with something I don't know. But like, Trump literally treats us like we're idiots. He's like, trust me, I'm your guy. I'm your government friend. I'm the top of the Fed now. I'm the president, and you just have to trust me. And we know that you wanted to talk about Epstein years ago when you thought that it was connected to Democrats and Republicans. But now that I'm telling you not, call them panicans and weaklings and call them names and tell them it's just the Democrats that are saying it. And it's really, as much as I can't stand it, I do get why people would get tricked with the vaccine and stuff. So much is happening every day. There's an election going on. There was Trump saying they stole the election. There was January 6th. There's people getting arrested. There's people getting locked down. There's people getting thrown out of the country. Djokovic can't play tennis here or Australia. And the Democrats are doing a lot of it. So I get why people got tricked there. I mean, I don't think they should have, but it's like, okay, the left was doing crazy stuff. But that doesn't mean Trump also didn't do really bad stuff. My best analogy I used to use, and I guess I still do because I'm doing it again, it's like Karl Malone and John Stockton. John Stockton was the smaller guy. Karl Malone used to dunk it. John Stockton would throw the ball up in the air, and Karl Malone would slam it down on your head. And it would be like being like, oh, well, John Stockton didn't dunk the ball on my head. It's like, for sure, but he purposely assisted it. That's what Trump did during the pandemic. He assisted them. He gave them the blueprint, the foundation, the money, the spending bills to do everything that they wanted to do, played into it, gave them the vaccine, gave Pfizer money. If you're against socialism and you're truly against, the radical left, why are you okay with vaccine socialism? Trump bought hundreds of millions of Pfizer doses. Don't you think if we had a real conservative president that wasn't using socialism and borderline communism, you could call it fascism if you'd like, if you watch and you're left-leaning, whatever, tyrannical, I would call it socialism and communism. But anyway, it's like this corruption, this corporate government corruption to buy the doses. Don't you think if Trump really wanted to stop the lockdowns, he would have not bought all the doses and made the corporations actually compete with each other instead of just using socialism and borderline communism to get it out? That's the way to stop a pandemic. I called this out before the lockdowns even happened. I was like, I already knew before they even talked about a vaccine. I'm like, they're going to rush a vaccine. It was all just so obvious to me. And then it's like, if we really had somebody in office who wanted to stop it, you have to stop it before it gets to step 10. Trump does step 1. Trump does step 2. Trump does step 3. He does steps 4 through 9. Then the Democrats do step 10. And Trump goes, oh, and everyone's like, oh, it's just the Democrats. It's the left. It's the demon rats. And it's like, it's so stupid. The Epstein part is even dumber. It's like, there's no way that people are really going to look at this and be like, you know what? The panicans on the right are mad because they're working with the left, and Comey and Obama did the Epstein thing, the cover up, and it's just a hoax and it's just another scam. I'm like, I get why people fell for it for the vaccine, even though they shouldn't have. Are people really going to fall for this for Jeffrey Epstein? Like it's this Comey Obama hoax? First of all, I looked up, I saw AI post this. You guys have to verify this if you like, but they said that apparently George Bush, I think it was W, looked into the Epstein thing and then case closed or whatever during his thing. So it's saying that's when it started. If you want to talk when Epstein got arrested, it was during Trump's administration. Trump hired
Alex Acosta,
who gave him a sweetheart deal to the Department of Labor. Like Trump has a weird habit of hiring everybody in Epstein's orbit. I've talked about it a lot. Pam Bondi, who is the attorney general in Florida. I'm not saying she's connected to Epstein, but she definitely was a top dog in the legal brass for almost a decade in Florida, when if someone else was there, maybe they would have looked into it a little more. And then it's like, the Epstein thing happened during Trump, and who was the attorney general? The attorney general was William Barr, and Bill Barr's father was apparently the headmaster at the school that Epstein used to teach at. And as Tucker and many people are saying, it's like, this teacher, like, did he even have a teaching degree? Then he becomes a billionaire. Like, what's he doing? Where's he getting all this money? Like, what's the chances that Bill Barr just so happens to be the guy at the attorney general when Epstein gets arrested? And if you want to get really weird and conspiratorial, I don't know what this has to do with anything, but if you try to search Epstein and Barr, before you find a picture, or at least maybe not a picture, but information on Barr's father and Epstein and their relationship in school, you'll find the Epstein-Barr virus, which is, I do think that's random. It's just like one of those weird coincidences, or, whatever. Fast forward, it's like, so he disappears in jail. They say that the cameras don't work, right? They say that the guards are sleeping. Then Kash Patel gets in. He says he's going to give us like a minute, or he's going to give us the footage. The footage sucks. There's between a minute and 3 minutes. The reporting is changing all the time, but there's time missing from the footage. They showed, I believe, or at least someone in the media was showing these pictures. I don't know if it was government or media. What's the difference, right? No, but it didn't even like look like Epstein sitting there dead. So now you have a bunch of different conspiracy theories for obvious reasons, like, oh, he didn't kill himself is the main one. And then there's another one, like, did he even die? Did he just get shipped out of there or something? Because, like, what proof do we really have? You saying that the camera footage didn't work is highly suspicious. And then you're better off just sticking with that narrative, even though it makes no sense, than releasing footage that you have without minutes missing. It would be like, yeah, this car got robbed at a parking lot. Here's the footage of the parking lot, but it's going to be missing 3 minutes when it happened. It's like, you can't have that missing if you want to provide any sort of credibility to, quash the narrative. So it's been such a joke. The binders, the people they had there just holding up the Epstein binders, what Pam Bondi said, what Dan Bongino said before and after, like, it's been handled so badly. But the point that I was getting to in that whole rant, but it's filled with points, is Epstein got arrested under Trump. Epstein allegedly died under Trump or disappeared under Trump. Trump is back in office now. And as I said earlier, the Democrats, they're so dishonest. But I have to say, and this is not a compliment at all, it's embarrassing that our team or our party's not ready for it. Like, they're so good at jumping on an opportunity and tricking people. And Trump just gave the most unforced error, for lack of a better term, in this situation. It's like, if he would have never talked about the Epstein files, if Republican media never brought it up, I'm glad they did. Democrats never released the Epstein files. Democrats don't care. Biden was in office. He could have done all that then. But now, because Trump isn't doing it, they're like, release them. Let's do it. And then Trump does the dumbest thing ever, which is like, it's just a Democrat hoax. So now he's basically given them to the average person that doesn't pay attention as much as my audience and everybody else, and people that actually care about politics somewhat and think it's interesting. And like the average person everybody knows about Epstein now. It's like one of the biggest stories in the world. Every podcast talks about it. He's losing Tim Dillon. He's losing Andrew Schultz. He's losing, Theo Vaughn and these type of people who supported him during the election. And I'm not saying you have to care about what they think, but he's losing the independents that actually helped him win. And he's giving the Democrats like a gift of like, you can be the party that's going to pretend to pursue Epstein. And I used to be that party, but now I'm the party covering it up and calling you weaklings if you want it out. It's so stupid. But the thing is, Trump always wins. I say he's like a mythical dragon. Like, he could lie to your face. He could do anything. He could sell vaccines and nobody seems to care. I just pick an influencer, right? DC Drano, Candace Owens, myself, Mike Lindell. It's like spitballing names, but anybody that said what Trump said and did what Trump did during the pandemic to any extent would have been laughed out of this movement. It doesn't matter how big of a shill you are or aren't, or how pro-Trump you are, if you're critical of this. Like, it would have been a career ender for most people, and they would have gotten ratioed on all their posts forever, which is good. But when Trump does it, it's like somehow he's got this hero story, and it's just so different. Like, imagine if I went on a podcast in 2022 and I was like, the vaccine saved hundreds of millions of lives. It's one of the greatest human achievements. And you're giving the left like help if you say that it's not as great as I say it is. Like, that's career over. You know what I'm saying? I should just quit and go do something else. It's like, but when Trump does it, It's not a career ender. It's like, oh, he just made a mistake. It's this, it's that. Even people that I know better, they're afraid of like losing that pro-Trump conservative movement. So like they don't even say anything. It's like I know, and I'm grateful in a weird way just of how things turned out. I always try to be grateful in the sense of like, everything happens for a reason. You can't fight reality. So I try to live in the moment. But in general, I know all the heat that I took during 2020 and 2021 and 2022 and all the gossip and all the people that turned against me for any reason or whatever. I know it's all working in my favor now because I know people that now sound like me that are like, Anomaly was really early on that with the anti-Semitism hate speech laws. I'm not the earliest. There's people that are earlier and the people that did really great reports on it. But in general, I was definitely earlier than a lot of people. And same with this topic. So I know that this is why I try to take the approach of the truth for various reasons. I got into media because I was sick of the lies and I was sick of the fear. So two things I always try to do is lower the fear. We could talk about stuff, we can get passionate, but don't be afraid, don't be hateful. I try to lower that because the media makes you afraid and hateful because they know psychologically if you're afraid and you're emotional, they can control you. Left-wing and right-wing media both do this. Like if you're pissed at the left and you're pissed at what they did, then you're easy to get tricked. And then like 2 years later, you come back and you're like, Anomaly, my bad. I was just pissed off because I know the left's evil and I thought you were doing this. And it's like, they want you that way. So I want to get rid of the fear and the negativity and the emotion. I mean, the passion is good, but I'm just talking about being hateful and angry. But also I want to tell the truth. So it's like, I don't understand people that they're like, yeah, but I get where they're coming from, but that's always been my motto. It's like, listen, I got to tell you what I really think. I know at certain points it's going to cost me money. Things are going to fluctuate. People are going to get mad at me. But if I'm honest and I'm saying what I believe is true and I'm putting in the research and I'm being humble about what I do and don't know, then it'll always age well. And that's been the case. And, I think there's a lot of various reasons people do different stuff. I'm not going to name names. I kind of want to badly, not as like a gossipy, but just like people on TV. So not any private stuff. Like they're on TV now. You'll know who it is. Just figure out who's doing this. And I'm speaking to everybody. They're on Fox News and they're on mainstream media now. And they're like, you know what? It's just the internet that likes Jeffrey Epstein, or it's a narrative. Just shut up. I mean, I've seen multiple people, even people that I kind of respect, saying like, "Oh, we got to get over it, this and that." And it's like, this is what I think about conservative media. There's a lot of great people in it. There's smart people, but in general, it's the same as the record labels. And for people who don't know, I'm a hip hop artist as well. I had record offers, both independent and somewhat major, with distributors and even like meetings in major labels, like in their offices with their A&Rs. And I see it the same way because the music, even like some of the podcasts, are operating like mainstream media to me because I've seen the inside of both worlds. And basically, they want somebody that appears like you that won't tell you the truth. They want somebody in a cowboy hat or someone who says they're a disaffected liberal that won't go to certain places. So if you come out and you're super honest about Trump and you say, listen, Trump's selling vaccines, he's lying, he's basically a socialist and a communist now, which is against all of our morals. He's passing hate speech laws for Israel, one race and one religion. He's doing all this weird stuff. They're like, whoa, we sell a lot of maybe pharmaceutical ads. We sell a lot of ads for Trump. I mean, like Trump is a cash cow. I mean, look at the pro-Trump pages. They're like Patriot coins, Patriot plungers. Shout out to Ryan Long, who did a joke about that. If you've never seen it, it's like he made fun of liberals and conservatives based on how they sold like Patriot water, Patriot plungers, Patriot pipe cleaners. Like, it's all that sort of stuff. So they look at me and they say, yeah, that's not good for business. And to be honest, it's probably not good for parties and networking. And then they look at somebody who they think is presentable, that they think could look good sitting there, and they say, oh, that guy has no soul or either no brain. It's like either an IQ under 100 or literally no soul. They would sell water to a whale and salt to a snail. And then they say, let's put him on the TV because he knows how to make fun of the left. So then they'll say, the left sucks. I'm on Fox News or I'm on Newsmax or I'm on whatever. The left sucks, the Biden's corrupt, and, I slightly disagree with Trump, but maybe we should stop talking about this. Or, the Epstein thing is just like on the internet. It's not that big of a deal. Or, you know what, like that just basic simpleton narratives to basically just make you dumber. The same way the left wing will just like talk about inequality and racism, and they have the talking points just to kind of trick their audience into never figuring out the truth. That's how I see Republican media. So, I went to Turning Point USA this year, I went a couple years ago. I had a really great time networking, and I really like just talking to people on the ground and companies and such. And this year, I never usually listen to the speakers, but Tucker was the final speaker. And if you didn't hear his speech, wow, was it a vibe shift? I mean, that was something that basically probably would have got you blacklisted from that event a few years ago. Now the main speaker is basically countering other speakers and saying like the realest thing that's probably ever been said there. And even for me on the ground, maybe it's because I'm more popular because of views and stuff, or maybe it's the vibe shift. But, of course, people recognized me there last time, et cetera. But this time it was even more receptive. I feel like there were more people, like even like companies that I thought would probably hate me, wanted to chat, but also kind of like distance themselves from me a little bit, like, oh, we don't agree on everything. It's like, yeah, obviously, but also like, what am I wrong about? What did I say? Like, I'm not that crazy. I feel like I'm super nice. I just like everyone acts like sometimes that I'm like this radical, extreme voice or something. Like, dude, he's a, we've known each other, but like, whoa. And I'm like, bro, I get doing that. Like, if you disagree with somebody because you want to make sure your audience knows you don't agree. But in general, like if you really watch all my videos, it's like I'm not usually yelling. I'm not mad. I'm not angry. I'm not preaching hate. I'm actually preaching the opposite of hate and anger. While these networks sometimes are like, be angry, be pissed off, buy our merch and get mad at the left. So I'm like, it's just hilarious because I was like, I get I'm controversial now because the truth is literally like crazy to most people. But I don't know. I'm a very calm, reasonable person. So it's just funny, like the vibe shift in a good way. It's shifted a lot, but still people are like trying to keep their seat at the table a little bit. But thank you for having me. And I'm always just grateful to just like talk to people, be a human, and like not live on the internet. Cause my job, just to give you guys a heads up too, for my fans that actually care, if this is the first time you're watching the video, hopefully you like it. If not, it is what it is. But for the people that watch all my videos and stuff, I had a few things going on. I went home a little bit and I just got burned out. I'm really trying to figure out this year how to scale and work harder, but also not get burned out because I'm doing everything and I have like a million things going on. Sometimes I just get a little like overwhelmed and stressed out to the point where like it's really hard to do videos because my videos don't come out good if I'm not in a good mood. Like I've noticed if I'm in an okay mood, I know the information and I could definitely repeat it to you guys. But at the same time, I'm just not having as much fun. But I still try to do it because just like with every job, it's like you can't have fun every day. You got to just do your job. But, I try to stay in a good mind frame because I have to talk and share my thoughts. When I'm having fun, it's definitely a more pleasant experience, I think, for both sides. So I'm trying to figure out how to be very productive, but also not burn myself out. I haven't figured it out yet, but I think I'm on the path to figuring it out. So I appreciate your patience. I appreciate that the numbers always go up and down. I mean, they go down and then they go up after like I take a little break, but I'm really trying to figure out the right solution and get it all through. That's why I wasn't really making videos. I had a week or two where I just had to shut down shop. And once again, not to give you guys too much unsolicited information that nobody asked for, but I had a lot of drama like with Facebook. Like Facebook is one of my biggest parts of my business at this point because I have 1.6 million followers. I've always had a huge audience. I think I have over 1 billion views there. And Facebook, I mean, I'm not going to say how much they owe me because it doesn't matter for this, but they still owe me money. They haven't paid me for 2 months. And they basically like said I wasn't controlling my account, even though I was. And they said that I like all this crazy stuff I've been dealing with. So I kind of also, not only was I getting burned out on the videos, I kind of shut down shop for a while because every day I have 15 things to do and then I never do them. This is like so important. And I have like Meta's team basically telling me that, they can't tell me this, they can't pay me, like they demonetized me permanently and said that they're not going to pay me the money they owe me, which they've owed me for 3 months. So unfortunately, I had to really like fix that. It's not completely fixed and they still haven't paid me, but they did remonetize my account and say I could like actually work there. But I've had like a bunch of different things going on. So I just got kind of burnt out and I was like, let me take a break for a little bit. I appreciate you guys. I hope you like this video. I'm super grateful to be here. I've had a good week so far. And that's my thoughts on the Epstein stuff. Just to wrap it up, Trump is pathologically lying. The Democrats are pathologically lying. They don't actually care. But now the sides have flipped with who pretends like they cared. First, it was Trump talking about the Epstein files, pretending like he cared for the election, and Democrats not talking about it for obvious reasons because they probably wouldn't help them to release the files either. And then now it's like flipped. It's really confusing if you don't realize that they're all banker puppets and lying to you and putting on a WWE show because they're constantly just like changing narratives. And it's so obvious to me and probably most of the people watching this, but to a lot of people, they just keep falling for it. And it's genius level theater, but it's like, well, it's like, dude, they're lying. Yeah, they don't want to release it, but somehow now they seem like they do, and Trump seems like he does it. It's just so stupid. And the solution, in my opinion, and I really, I have more compassion for people that just like Trump or pay attention. I really go a lot harder on journalists and influencers, because not only are these people wrong, but at least the average person's just wrong either by mistake or they're not paying that much attention, or they like Trump. But these influencers and journalists, and especially, like I said, I've been around the music industry for 10 years, 15 years. I've been around the news industry for almost a decade. Like, I know how much some of these people are making, not because they show me their pay stubs, but you could tell how much people on mainstream media are making, or there's so many different ways, I think, to monetize and get sponsors, and also work with, I think some people work at the nonprofits and donors, and just like the politicians. So it's like, there's a lot. Joe Rogan's contract is massive. There's so much money going on in this industry. And it's like, it sickens me to know that there's people that are making millions of dollars and they're lying to you. And that's why so many people believe these lies, because you think, oh, he's wearing a cowboy hat, he must be telling me the truth. And in reality, these people are like fake opposition, horrible. So, I'm to say all that, I guess what I was getting to, I stumbled 15 times, but I was getting to this point. The reason that Trump thinks he can get away with this is because Trump has already gotten away with this. With the vaccine, the Epstein, the vaccine thing, he's doing the same thing. He's using the same left-right paradigm. He's using the same fake, like, oh, look at the other side narrative in order to trick you out of caring about something that you should care about. And it's the same with the vaccine. Why can't people like juggle two things at once? Like, why can't they be like, yeah, the Democrats are evil, horrible, terrible for lockdowns and mandates, and they're psychopaths and they're worse, and I'll never vote for them. And even for me, like, I'm a very reasonable person. I'm not saying don't vote. If you don't want to vote, don't vote. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me what you do. But if, say, you want to vote, like, at least let your party know, not be like, well, I got to vote for the right, and now I got to pretend like you're telling me the truth and you're not that bad. No, they are that bad. Trump is that bad. He's been this bad. He's been this fake. He's been this dishonest. People need to wake up. And even strategically, I think people need to wake up under Trump. If Trump loses the next election, then you're going to be like, well, it's just the left. And then if someone else wins, you're like, it's just them. No, we need to figure it out now. This is actually the best time to figure it out. So, the solution is enough conservatives, libertarians, freedom fighters, honest progressives, even populists, whatever you want to call yourself. I don't even care. Figure it out. The left sucks. They're worse, I think, on almost every topic. A few, maybe they're better than Republicans, but not many, for me at least. Republicans are a better baseline, but that baseline just isn't good. And it's so dishonest. And it's not like I have these high expectations. Oh, it's not good enough for me. It's just corrupt. It's too corrupt. It's too fake. It's going in the wrong direction. And it's totally okay to call this stuff out. In fact, I think that is the solution. Peacefully, reasonably, if you'd like. Obviously, I like always reasonable, but some people, though, they're like, I want to be mad. I don't think you should be mad, and I don't think you should spend all day being pissed off, but peacefully, legally, reasonably, like, you don't have to freak out. You don't have to go march in the streets and get set up. Not that you can't march if it's a legal protest, but you get what I'm saying. Like, some people think like the solution is so crazy. It's really not. To me, the solution is when enough people figure something out, they have to change. Let me give you one example real quick. All the pronoun stuff, right? After the election, all of them started going away from like most major companies. Do you know why? Do you think it's because they actually care? No, they don't. I'll just spoiler alert. No, they don't care. It's not like they had this right-wing awakening where they're like, you know what? I think the pronouns are too much. It's the data. They have the data on everything. And the data showed Trump won the popular vote. Republicans were crushing Democrats in any way. I don't have access to all that data. I guess with ChatGPT or Grok or one of the AI, I could figure it out probably to some extent. But you understand what I'm saying? It's like a numbers game. It's like, are we in any of the top 20 podcasts? No, they're all right-wing. Theo Vaughn seems more right-wing. Even Andrew Schultz, who, and Joe Rogan, who used to call himself progressive, whatever. They're even leaning right. They're endorsing Trump. But like, they lost everything based on major miscalculations on certain topics. So they've got the data on those topics and reeled it back because it just wasn't working. The solution is peaceful. People think you got to just be all, it's not true. They know when enough people care. If Trump realized and the GOP realized we're going to get blown out the next election if we don't change a little bit, nobody likes us. We're not getting cheered at events. Lindsey Graham can't speak and get cheered. That's a good thing. Lindsey Graham sucks. He shouldn't get cheered anywhere he speaks. So only Trump can like save his image. Like, oh, this is my buddy. Oh, he's there when I need him. I'll fix you people. I'll campaign for him. They're playing this game. It's like banker theater where Trump talks to them and Trump talks to the elites and the donors and then comes out to you and is the guy that's pretending to be just like you. And he's really not. He's one of the coolest presidents we've ever had. And I definitely think he's likable. But this is really the solution. It's like they need to get booed. They need Tucker Carlson to get applauded when he says what he says. That's the only thing that's going to get through to him. So you don't have to vote for the left. You don't have to pretend like Mike Pence is your best friend, right? Like people always like assume these sort of things. It's like, no, you just, the sheer MAGA base, the majority need to wake up and challenge Trump, and then they will shift. Maybe not give you the full Epstein stuff if it's really as bad as everyone thinks it is, but like we will get justice to some extent and we will get things moving in the right direction. I truly believe that. And I want to end on this note too, because I forgot to. The dumbest talking point, I probably talked about it weeks ago, but the dumbest talking point I've seen from right-wingers on this is, don't you think the left would have revealed the Epstein files if Trump was truly in it? No, because also it's a Democrat-Republican thing. Like if Epstein was who we think he was, and he was either blackmailing politicians, getting info on them, recording them, networking with them to learn certain things, compromising people in some sort of way, influencing them, whatever you want to think Epstein did, right? Just pick any of the things that everybody thinks he did. If he was truly doing that for intel communities or a foreign government or both, or you understand, why would the Democrats tell you that? Like you think it was just Trump? Oh, it's just Trump and Republicans, so Democrats are going to reveal it. If he was who we all think he was, it applies to the left just as much, if not more, probably equally. So it's like, I believe the Times of Israel reported, and others do. I just remember the Times of Israel article where they have the picture they said was in Epstein's house of like Bill Clinton in a dress. And they said that was in his house. It's like, oh yeah, the Democrats are really gonna bust Epstein with that sort of stuff. It's like, no. So that's like, I'm so tired of right-wing Republican grifters who know that they're lying and they know that they're scumbags. It's like there's such a market for that where they're the only ones keeping this stuff afloat. They're like, Epstein's only on the internet. The left would have revealed the Epstein stuff. That would be like me saying, the left will be against the vaccine if Trump rushes them. So rush the vaccine. So the left's against them. And remember, it's all theater. So that happened for like, a month for political reasons. They were like, oh, Trump rushed the vaccine too fast. But when push came to shove, Democrats mandated that vaccine and bought the same exact doses. Like they didn't do anything. So you know what I'm saying? So it's like the theater is like, oh, we're against them. No, they're not. They pushed them. Oh, well, if the Trump prints money, then the left won't print money. It's like they play opposite day for the masses, but then they do the same exact stuff because they hope that you're stupid enough to not be able to figure it out. So this idea like, oh, the left will do that if the right does that, it's not the case. And another topic that this happens on, while I have the energy and motivation to say it, is when you watch right-wing Republican media that is more pro-Zionist than even a lot of Israeli news in America, they'll tell you, oh, the left is Iran and the left is this. They might have done different deals that Republicans wouldn't do, and you can criticize them all you want. I don't care. I'm not saying they were good, but Joe Biden calls himself a Zionist. Joe Biden funded Israel. Joe Biden continues to fund Israel. So do all Democrats. Maybe not all of them, but the head ones, when it matters, they give the money too. They're passing the same anti-Semitism hate speech laws as Donald Trump is. And the whole escalation of Israel and Palestine and all of the bad things that happened on both sides happened during Joe Biden. What did he do? Did he stop it? No, he kept giving them money. He'll do something like symbolic for his base. Like, here's an aid float. What's that going to do when you just gave them tens of billions of dollars for weapons and stuff? It's like, it's a joke. So this is my issue. I don't talk about Republicans more because I like Democrats more. I actually don't like Democrats more. I like Republicans more. But they're so fake, and the media system and the main structure of it has been so fake that this needs to be called out in order to fix our party. And to end on a good note, if I overwhelmed you, things are moving in the right direction. Things are moving in the right direction. A lot of people are figuring it out. A lot of the baseline stuff that didn't want to budge is starting to budge, because I think even those type of people, like the Charlie Kirks of the world, I've never spoken to him like that, but in general, I just seeing how he's operating, I think he realizes, like, in 30 years, 40 years, when the boomers are gone, he's going to lose everything to the progressive socialists who probably will destroy the country. So like at a certain point, when the boomers stop boomering, God bless them, because there's a lot of great things about boomers that we're going to miss and conservative values and stuff. But in general, it's like, I think the new generation of like Charlie Kirk and Benny Johnson, just, analyzing how they operated. Like I said, I didn't talk to Charlie Kirk this week or Benny Johnson, never talked to Benny Johnson. I think Charlie Kirk, once somebody introduced me to him like 6 years ago, and he like was one of, no disrespect to Charlie, but he just like blew me off and looked right past me. He didn't even like notice me. So I have no relationship with either of them, but just seeing how they're publicly operating, it does seem like they're like, listen, we want to keep these Zionist contacts and we want to keep this money and we want to like do what you say because we're good boys. We're really good. We're really good. But then when it comes to like the new stuff, they're also trying to let like the Tucker Carlson vibe in because they're like, listen, we're going to be here for a while. And we know that this is the direction it's going. That's how I read it. And when the middle kind of moves in the right direction, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's them realizing the writing on the wall and trying to be strategic. So I think there's a lot of good things happening. I think people are more awake than ever. I don't think this one's going to work the way Trump thinks it does. And the peaceful, he sees everything online. Trump loves to be loved. He's the ultimate schmoozer. He loves to do stuff. He also told Thomas Massie, he said something like, Thomas Massie didn't vote the way I thought he would when I had a situation of life and death with him. He said something weird like that. And I think what he meant, based on listening to Thomas Massie's podcast with Theo Vaughn, is Trump called him after his wife passed away and said something really nice, which is super nice of Trump. But I think it's super douchey. This just shows you who Trump really is. It's like he said something really nice about a serious situation, Thomas's wife passing, and then expected a vote in return. And this is basically what Trump's saying to Thomas Massie and everyone. If I can't lobby you, either through threats, either through fake niceness, either through doing something for you and my groups and saying you're not going to win re-election, if I can't lobby you, then I hate you. And it's like, what? That's not a real friend. So this makes me, hearing Trump say that was I'm not going to say one of the worst things he's ever said, but I always thought like Trump is, in some ways he's a good leader. In some ways he's a total liar and a con man. But I always thought he was like a nice person in person. I've always heard great stories. He's so friendly to everybody. There's so many great stories of Trump just doing really nice things. And I got to say, for pretty much until recently, I'm like, oh, he's just doing all these nice things. Because even though he's political and he does some sneaky stuff, like deep down inside, Trump is a really thoughtful person. He's always calling people. But it's like, is he just doing art of the deal where he's calling Thomas Massie about his wife, not because he actually cares, but because he wants Thomas Massie's vote? Like, I get trying to leverage people, but that's a little bit sick. And I've never seen that side of Trump until he said that. And it's like, if I did that to lobby Thomas Massie and it didn't work, I would never admit that publicly. I appreciate the honesty from Trump, but I would never admit that publicly that like, oh, there's a situation of life and death that I helped them out. You didn't necessarily help him out. You just called him and said something nice, which is a personal nice thing that you did as the president that now doesn't even look nice anymore because you're admitting you thought it was going to change his vote. Now you're pissed that it didn't. I like the fact that Thomas can't be lobbied based on flattery. And that's the issue with a lot of Republican media and politics. Everybody can be flattered and everybody can be lobbied in that sense. So, a lot of stuff there. I've had a couple weeks off, so I had a lot to say. I hope you appreciate this video. I think it went well. I'm pretty happy with it. And God bless you guys. Check out dreamrarelinks.com if you want to see any of my links. I got some new music out. I got a little bit of everything, Instagram. You get it. I got the same thing everybody else has. So appreciate y'all. Have a beautiful day. I'll be back with more videos soon.